What if I told you the answers to some of the world's darkest, most haunting mysteries were hidden in plain sight, on your phone? It might sound impossible, but thanks to the ever-watchful eye of satellite imaging and the tireless work of online sleuths, some of the most chilling cases in recent history have been brought to light. Not by detectives, not by investigators, but by ordinary people scrolling through Google Maps. These are not urban legends. These are real stories. Some tragic, some terrifying, and some that will make you question how much we truly know about the world around us. Today, we're diving into 6 of the most disturbing mysteries ever uncovered using satellite imagery. From ghost ships stranded in deserts to secret graves uncovered in the heart of cartel country. Each of these cases begins with a digital image and ends with a very real horror. And believe me, number 3 will stay with you long after this video ends. Let's begin. 6. The ghost ship in the desert. At first glance, it looks like a glitch, a ship, full-sized, rusting, weather-beaten, stranded in the middle of a sun-bleached desert. But this is no mistake. This is very real. In 2020, a Reddit user browsing Google Earth zoomed into a stretch of barren land in Kazakhstan and made an unsettling discovery. There, frozen in the sands, lay the rusting hulk of the Zhongjun 101, a Chinese fishing vessel that once sailed the Aral Sea. The only problem? The Aral Sea dried up decades ago. Once one of the 4 largest lakes in the world, the Aral Sea began to vanish in the 1960s after Soviet irrigation projects diverted the rivers feeding it. By the 2000s, much of the sea had turned into desert, and its remaining waters had receded hundreds of miles from their original shoreline. Ships that once floated on calm waters were left stranded on dry land, like metal skeletons slowly being swallowed by sand. But what makes the Zhongjun 101 especially eerie are the reports from locals. Several residents claim they've seen figures moving inside the wreck at night. Flickering lights, shadows pacing the deck, whispering voices. Could it be scavengers, teenagers exploring a haunted relic, or something else entirely? Whatever the explanation, the ship has now become a chilling monument, not just to environmental catastrophe, but to something more spectral, more unexplainable. 5. The Vanished Hiker. July 22nd, 2013. Geraldine Largay, a 66-year-old experienced hiker from Tennessee, set out to traverse part of the Appalachian Trail in Maine. She was cheerful, well-equipped, and had prepared meticulously for the journey. But after she missed a scheduled check-in with her husband, a massive search operation was launched. Hundreds combed the forests for weeks. Nothing. For years, the case went cold. Then came a breakthrough, not from a park ranger or law enforcement, but from a digital map. In 2015, a hiker noticed an unusual shape in a dense patch of forest while browsing Google Earth. When authorities investigated the location on foot, they found it, a collapsed tent and skeletal remains. Inside the tent, they uncovered a journal Geraldine had kept during her final days. She had gotten lost, wandered off the trail, and set up camp hoping for rescue. She survived for over 3 weeks before dying of exposure. Her final entries were devastating. One line read, "When you find my body, please call my husband and daughter and let them know I am dead." Geraldine died alone in the woods, so close to being found. But it was satellite images, not search dogs or helicopters, that finally led to her. 4. The Backyard Prison. In a quiet California suburb, nestled among rows of identical rooftops and neat backyards, one home held a secret too horrifying to imagine. A curious local man was using Google Maps to explore his neighborhood when he noticed something odd. What appeared to be an unusual structure hidden beneath a tarp in his neighbor's backyard. Upon closer inspection, the shape and positioning looked unnatural, almost like an entrance to a shelter or bunker. He notified police, unsure of what he'd really seen. But when authorities arrived and began searching the property, they discovered a nightmare. Beneath the backyard was an underground room, crude, damp, and outfitted with a mattress, chains, and personal belongings. Inside, they found a woman who had been missing for nearly 3 months. Malnourished, traumatized, and terrified, she revealed she had been held there against her will by her ex-boyfriend who lived in the house. The media quickly descended on the neighborhood, and the man who reported the sighting was hailed as a hero. His digital curiosity had led to the rescue of a woman whose fate could have been far worse. This wasn't just a fluke, it was a wake-up call. Evil can hide behind picket fences, and sometimes it takes an eye in the sky to bring it to light. 3. The cult's mass grave, Sonora, Mexico, a harsh, unforgiving region dotted with remote ranches and scorched earth. In 2019, a satellite image from Google Maps sparked an investigation that led to one of the most disturbing discoveries in recent history. A user spotted a cluster of freshly disturbed patches of land, arranged not haphazardly, but in a pattern, a chilling pattern. Upon further investigation, police uncovered dozens of shallow graves. Inside were the remains of people who had been abducted, tortured, and murdered by the Santa Muerte cartel, a group known for mixing criminal activity with ritualistic worship of Santa Muerte, the Mexican folk saint of death. What investigators found was not just mass murder, but ritual execution. The bodies were arranged according to a perverse symbolic logic. Certain victims were dismembered. Others were buried with ceremonial items. One officer stated they were marking their kills like trophies. These weren't just victims, they were offerings. This story shook the region and the world, not only because of the violence involved, but because it took satellite imagery to detect a horror hiding in the open, an entire mass gravesite visible to anyone, if they only knew where to look. 2. The missing plane. In 2017, a small private aircraft took off from a rural airstrip in Peru, bound for a nearby town. The weather was fair. The flight plan was simple, but the plane never arrived. Search and rescue teams scoured the jungles and mountains. Weeks turned into months. The trail went cold. Until 2019, when an aviation enthusiast was exploring the Peruvian Amazon on Google Earth. Deep within the jungle, he spotted a flash of silver, a shape that didn't match the surrounding terrain. He reported the coordinates. When authorities arrived at the site on foot, they confirmed the impossible. The wreckage of the missing aircraft, almost fully intact. Inside, the skeletal remains of the 28-year-old pilot were still strapped to the seat, headphones on. How could a crash site like this go undetected for so long? The dense jungle had swallowed the plane from ground view, hiding it from helicopters and satellite sweeps. But Google's imaging algorithm had captured just enough light and contrast for a human eye, staring at a screen halfway across the world, to notice. The pilot's family finally got answers, but it was the internet, not investigators, that brought him home. Number 1. The frozen corpse on Everest. They call him Green Boots. For over 2 decades, his body lay curled on the side of a rocky outcrop along the northeast ridge of Mount Everest. He wore green climbing boots, a red jacket, and a frozen expression of agony. For climbers ascending from the north, Green Boots was a grim milestone, a reminder of the mountain's unforgiving nature. He was believed to be Tsewang Paljor, an Indian climber who died during a deadly storm in 1996, but his true identity was never officially confirmed. For years, he remained in the same spot until suddenly he vanished. In 2021, a group of digital mountaineering enthusiasts noticed something strange. Using the most recent Google Maps satellite imagery, they noticed that Green Boots was gone. His colorful clothing no longer marked the trail. Had someone finally removed him for a respectful burial? Or had the elements, melting snow, shifting ice, carried him away? No official statement was ever made. No recovery confirmed. Just the silence of Everest and a missing body that had once been a macabre beacon for those chasing the summit. Who was he? Why was he left behind? And why, after all these years, did he disappear? These stories show us something powerful. Sometimes it isn't governments or agencies that bring truth to light. Sometimes it's ordinary people, with nothing more than a laptop, a bit of curiosity, and access to Google Maps. Ghost ships in deserts, hidden bunkers, ritual graves, frozen climbers, all discovered because someone decided to zoom in. The digital world is vast, but it's still a reflection of the real one. And sometimes it shows us things we were never meant to see. If this video made you think twice about what's hiding out there, hit that like button and subscribe, because next week we're revealing 5 more terrifying Google Maps discoveries you can look up right now.